What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the channel for the first time if you are new. We're coming back from our 2 or 3 week hiatus, with the turn of the new year. We got a lot of things coming up and a lot of things that, we were in the process of wrapping up. And, of course, college football was in its conclusion, so we were real busy pumping out content and all that. But with that being said, we're coming back today talking about Coach Prime in Colorado. How many wins are they going to get this season? Obviously this is a big step up in competition for Deion and his son. He's bringing in as a quarterback already QB1. I guess that's pretty much goes without being said, but Coach Prime went ahead and said it. Colorado has not been the most talented team in its division, but, with Coach Prime being able to bring in all these talented players from the HBCU he was at, Jackson State, and to the players in the transfer portal and the young guys who, he's had the #1 recruit 2 years in a row coming out of high school. So that's definitely something to be said. So people want to play for Coach Prime, but how successful is he going to be in the first year? Like I said, a big step up in the Pac-12, but we're going to take a look at it today. So, Drew, go ahead and kick it into you. What's the schedule looking like for Coach Prime next season?
Yeah, looking at the schedule, I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. I don't care if they bring in Coach Prime, Coach Saban, or any other great college football or NFL coach that there is. It's going to take more than a year to completely turn over this roster and to get Colorado competitive. I don't think Colorado is going to be a terrible team this year in terms of talent, but the problems are going to come from, you still got to get a lot of the culture instilled in a lot of these old guys. You got to think Colorado was a horrible, horrible football team last year, and there's still a lot of pieces that need to get swept away before this team really starts getting successful. I still think there's going to be a lot of negativity. I don't care how good of a Coach Prime might be and how good of a speaker he is. There's going to be that bottom 5% that's going to be trying to influence the rest of the players of that losing mindset that they have. That just doesn't go away sometimes in a year. But looking at their schedule, the toughness of it is already difficult enough. Even if Colorado was in good standing, there's a lot of good teams that Colorado plays this year. TCU, you open up on the road at TCU. You got Nebraska, you got Colorado State, you got on the road at Oregon. Those are your first 4 games. Colorado's going 1-3. They're going 1-3 in those games, and then you look at the rest of the schedule. USC, that's a loss. Arizona State, a team that's bringing in a lot of talent, that's probably a loss. Stanford, 50-50 game, and then on the road at UCLA. All that aside, though, I can go down the schedule and do a preview and prediction for the entire schedule for Colorado. The point is that the Pac-12 is more competitive now than it's ever been. You look at last year, there's a lot of teams in the Pac-12 in the top 25 that weren't great teams, that weren't playoff teams per se, but they were still very, very competitive and were making a lot of noise, and a lot of those teams were making late playoff pushes. Of course, a lot of those teams ended up flunking out, but nonetheless, the Pac-12 is more competitive than it's ever been. Even if Colorado was in good standing right now, this would be a tough schedule, and it's honestly disappointing that people are putting such high expectations on Colorado and Coach Prime, because I like Deion Sanders as a coach. I like everything he's been doing. I like the things he's been saying. But for people to put these unrealistic expectations of Colorado winning 9 to 10 games is just, it's not fair to him. Because what happens if he doesn't reach that? What happens if Coach Prime hits a 3-win season or a 4-win season with a terrible roster he's still trying to turn around? I just don't think the expectations right now are really fair to him. And looking at the schedule, we could talk a little bit more about this later in the video. It's just not a good look for Colorado right now in terms of, they're just in a bad spot.
Yeah, well, first off, I'll just say with the expectation thing, that's how it is with everything and everybody with the internet these days, instant
Absolutely.
gratification. People don't want to invest 1, 2, 3+ years into anything really. So that's where that comes from. But I'm going to have to disagree with you on what you said with Colorado and Coach Prime how he's not going to be able to get those bottom feeders out of there. Like, those guys are going to be gone. When you got a guy like Coach Prime, like, he's going to set the tone. He has the level of expectation, and it's risen tenfold at the University of Colorado the second he came in. He's bringing in his staff. He's bringing in his guys. He's bringing in 20+ players at least. So that alone is going to be a culture shock for the rest of the Colorado players. Coming from, going from a high school team with shitty coaching to a college team that was ran, basically like the military. It was a culture shock, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to be the same thing for those Colorado players. They've been cruising, getting by, cutting corners. Deion's not going to have that. Coach Prime ain't going to put up with that. So that part is going to get nipped in the bud. But like you said, it's definitely going to be a talent issue. And, you hear guys like Colin Cowherd say this and other analysts say this. You can stop one side of the ball with transfers, or you can fix one side of the ball with transfers in the transfer portal nowadays. And, I think that's true with Coach Prime. I think he's going to be able to get a lot of talented players But it's one thing to have talented players, and it's another thing to make those talented players work on one team and play as one unit, as an offense and a defense and a special teams. And, you've seen that with Lincoln Riley. He came into the Pac-12, and, he was able to do that with his offense. He got the talent, but they were also able to make it click. But, you saw defensively, they were just an afterthought, that defense at USC. And then, Dan Lanning, a defensive-minded coach coming into the Pac-12 as well at Oregon. That defense stepped it up after week 3, week 4. They were playing phenomenal, and they had Bo Nix, who was playing great too. But when they played the upper echelon of talent, they were getting destroyed. But either way, those are two of the top dogs in the Pac-12, and it's going to take Colorado and Coach Prime a couple years at least, to be in contention with them, in my opinion. But, that's not a bad thing. Him taking 1 or 2 years to develop that culture, that's not a bad thing. You just want to have enough success for guys to stay invested and not transfer out after the first year, and to keep, outside guys interested in coming into the program, which, I think Coach Prime's, primed up for that, no pun intended, but I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, and another thing I kind of wanted to mention too, of course, he has the unrealistic expectations set from other people, but I think within the Colorado community and the fan base there, Colorado is not a program that's used to winning football games. There's a sense of urgency to win, but it's not like a Georgia or Alabama. Like, if you get a new coach at Georgia or Alabama, you're expected to win 11 or 12 games your first season, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think Deion did, kind of land himself in a good job where he can have, a couple bad years if that does happen, and just be all right. And I think that no one's really going to give up on him there, nor should they. Now, a lot of uncertainty does come, of course, from just the fact itself that he was at a HBCU. And yes, Coach Prime had a lot of success, and what he did for the HBCU is absolutely incredible. And regardless, if Deion goes 0-12 his next 2 or 3 years at Colorado, what he did at the HBCU level is absolutely incredible. What he did for those programs and those kids, giving a lot of those players moments that they'll never forget. But there's just a lot of uncertainty. Obviously the HBCU is not the Power 5, and everyone knows that. I think that goes without saying. But I think we'll see pretty quickly how well Coach Prime can adjust to the Power 5 in his first couple of games. I think then we'll get a better idea, because right now we just don't know. And, of course, bringing in his son at quarterback, had a terrific career at Jackson State, put up some ridiculous numbers. That's something that needs to be talked about a little bit more, too. How is he going to be able to adjust? It's one thing to coach from an HBCU to a Power 5 level, but for him, and Shadir, he's very talented. He's a very talented quarterback. But going from game speed at HBCU to a Power 5, it's obviously going to be a night and day difference, and that's going to be, I think, one of the main points, whether or not Colorado is successful or not in this first year, because if the quarterback play is not good, obviously your team is not set up well to play good football and to win games. Yeah,
to your point, I want to 100% agree that the talent level at that level compared to the Pac-12 is definitely a massive gap, but their portfolios at Jackson State and their tenures there definitely show that they prove or they're worthy of, being at this level skill-wise and, in every other facet. They're ready to be there. And, coming out of high school, Deion Sanders, could have gone to this level off rip, but, he went to Jackson State with his dad. But they definitely deserve to be there. And you talk about the speed of the game. At the quarterback position, that can definitely be a thing that can take some time to adjust to, but it's not going to take a whole season. You know what I'm saying? Like you're saying, we'll have it figured out pretty quick whether it's going to be a fit at Colorado or not.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Leave down below in the comments of what you think about Colorado this season. Let us know what expectations you guys have for Coach Prime in his first year. Also, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. We're going to start pumping out more content for college football and the NBA. So if you're an NBA fan, definitely be on the lookout for NBA content as well. And we'll see you guys in the next video.